Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. Actually, this is the last day, last couple of hours. I was pretty sure I will be speaking to myself. So it's really heartwarming to see how much cannabis is gaining attraction and is getting into the mainstream. So my name is Dadi Siegel. I'm CEO of Panaxia. Panaxia is a manufacturer of pharmaceutical cannabis. We started in 2010 with the idea that a product based on cannabis should be in the same properties of any other medication in terms of safety, efficacy, standardization. Today, we have more than 30 products on our portfolio. Those products are coming in dosage forms similar to any other pharmaceutical you're familiar with. Tablets, suppositories, concentrates for vaporization, topicals, creams and ointments. We are targeting more than 15 different indications, among which are pain, of course, which is the most common, but also less common, such as PTSD, fibromyalgia, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson. Company is very much R&D oriented. We've been doing that for the last 10 years. And in Israel, where we are based, we are controlling about 50% of the market. Third of the market we are actually reaching through to the patient's home. We are also having an American activity, and we are now approaching the European market, where we expect to be in next year. Just to give a bit of a background, Panaxia is part of a larger pharma group which has been in the pharma industry for over 45 years. It started as one pharmacy by my parents, but today we have more than 600 different products. Those products are sold in more than 40 countries worldwide, and we employed about 300 people in our teams. Some of our activities include Tree of Life, which is also presenting here at CPhI, which is a manufacturer of over-the-counter medication with activity in pain management, women's health, ophthalmics. Another activity of ours is Luminera Derm. Luminera is a manufacturer of dermal fillers, those injections used to treat facial wrinkles. And Luminera today is among the top 10 dermal fillers manufacturers in the world. So with this background, in 2010, we decided that we want to focus on cannabis. Why was that? Well, it was much less of an interest than we are seeing today. If I were to go on stage in CPhI in 2010, I guess nobody would come, and those who would look at me not so nicely. But we saw a tremendous clinical potential for this flower. But we realized that this is just a flower. This is just a flower with 80 or 90% of its users smoking this medication. Don't know even the dose they are consuming. That dose is, of course, not standardized and is not repeated throughout the shelf life of the product or between batches. And it is not manufactured under GMP conditions. So we have decided that we want to change all that, because we have seen the tremendous potential, but we have realized that we are just touching the tip of the iceberg. And frankly speaking, this touching just the tip of the iceberg situation is pretty much the situation also today. A statistic: 70% of the people who are using cannabis are using it for pain. Maybe cancer pain, chronic pain, but still, just pain. Now think about all the other stories of people suffering for so many other indications that you have heard, and that cannabis is improving for those patients their quality of life. Think of all those stories, indications such as fibromyalgia, PTSD, Parkinson's disease, epilepsy. Those patients are mostly not in the game. Each of those indications is for millions of people in the world, and still, by far, they are not using cannabis. People are currently using cannabis only as a last alternative. And it makes sense. Think about a 70-year-old cancer patient. She's 70-year-old. She suffers from nausea, She suffers from pain, of course. She loses weight. And can you imagine this 70-year-old lady going into a pharmacy or a dispensary in some places in the world, asking for flowers with names such as Hawaiian Kush, Jerusalem Express, taking those flowers, cutting them, rolling them into a joint and smoking them? I see you smiling. Yes, this is probably not going to happen. For her to use cannabis, it has to look and feel like any other medication she's used to take. It has to come in a dosage form she's used to take, probably tablets. I guess everybody in the audience, when they have a headache, they take a tablet and don't smoke their medication. It has to come with a precise dose, standardized. It has to be manufactured in a pharmaceutical settings, GMP manufacturing. And for this lady's doctor to recommend her to use it, that doctor has to receive enough evidence-based medicine, enough literature to make that doctor comfortable enough in recommending her to use it. And this is where Panaxia is coming into the picture. We are manufacturing a premium, standardized, pharmaceutically dosed product. And we believe that with this, we are bringing cannabis to many more patients worldwide. I'd like to go over briefly on how we are doing this, because I mentioned that we are manufacturing products with the same qualities of a medication, but I'm sure you can imagine some challenges in this situation are quite unique. This audience is coming from the pharma industry, so I guess you know, if a manufacturer is now going to produce a pharmaceutical, they would usually contact their API manufacturer, and that API would supply them with the raw material that is usually 99% pure. It's exactly the same every time they would receive it, and it's being manufactured in a GMP settings, the raw material. Now, we in the cannabis business are working in a slightly different situation. Our raw material is grown in a farm, is changing every time that we receive it, and it's quite far from the situation where it's 99.9 pure. It's more in the average of 10%. To make things even more complicated, the rest of the 10%, the rest of the 90% are not just neutral substance that I can just put into my formulation and it'll be okay. These are other active ingredients that I also have to standardize in order to reach a fully consistent standardized product. The cannabis flower has tens of active ingredients inside that we have to be sure that we're standardizing at least the important ones among it. So how we are doing that? The first thing we did was to develop an analytical system that allows us to detect and quantify the active cannabinoids. We are currently doing that for the 20 most important cannabinoids, and we are doing that on every batch of production. But this is not enough. Just knowing what's inside is just half of the way in order to produce a standardized product. Now, the next thing we're doing is that we have an extraction system that allow us to take whatever flower we're getting, whatever changing material is reaching into our manufacturing site, and standardize it. How we do it? We extract the cannabinoids, we manipulate the levels of the active ingredients so that at the end we standardize the raw material into the 9 most important cannabinoids, and we are doing that on each batch of production. So, in general, this is the technology that allows us to be in the position that we can produce a standardized product. But it is more than this, because it's not enough to have the technology to produce. You have to do it in a robust way that it will be the same every time. We are manufacturing our products in GMP approved facilities. We were the first company in Israel to be GMP approved. And we were just had a successful inspection for EU GMP in the last couple of weeks. So we are manufacturing and we have GMP certificate, but it's much more than having the certificate that is important. The idea is that behind GMP is the fact that each of our processes is validated to make sure that we have a robust and consistent product every time that we are manufacturing. And this is what GMP is all about, manufacturing a consistent product every time that we are producing. Another advantage of being a pharma company which is acting in the cannabis field is the fact that as a pharma company, we have the technical dossiers with the technical documentation for the registration of all our products. Now, this is extremely important now that we are approaching European market, because European authorities are treating cannabis as any other medication and require the same level of quality. We currently have more than 30 products on our portfolio. As I was saying, those products are coming in dosage forms which are similar to any pharmaceuticals. Tablets, and with tablets, sublingual tablets, suppositories, inhalers, creams and ointments. We also are now in a position where we are trying to select the relevant cannabinoids for the treatment of each indication. I remind you, the situation in cannabis is that when a patient is going with a script into the pharmacy and received cannabis flowers, they are actually getting tens of different medications. Think about it. What would be in the regular world if a patient would go with one script to the pharmacy and the pharmacist would take out a few tens of boxes in different colors which would be changing every time? That would be probably unbelievable for you guys in the pharma industry. But this is exactly what is happening currently in the cannabis field today. Now, of those tens of active ingredients, you can surely imagine that not all of them are relevant at all for the treatment of each indication. And in some indications, some of those actives might even create side effects. For example, THC, which is relevant in the treatment of pain, would create side effects in a patient with anxiety. So what we are trying to do in the last couple of years is to select the combinations of cannabinoids which are only relevant to a certain condition. And by that, we believe that we can give our patients a better treatment eventually. All our products have clinical evidence and clinical trials. The first thing we did was to have safety and pharmacokinetic data for all our products. Again, usually in this conference, that would be going without even saying. Every product should have that. In the cannabis space, it's slightly different. Majority, if not all, other than Panaxia's products in the world, do not have safety data and do not have pharmacokinetic data. Now, this is unbelievable, especially when you consider that this product has side effects and that the bioavailability of the majority of the cannabis products would be about, taken orally, would be about 10 to 20%. Now, think about it. The product goes first pass effect, low bioavailability in the range of 10 to 20%. Two products can have the same dose, 5 milligram per drop, but one of them would have a carrier that would create bioavailability of 10%, the other would have a bioavailability of 20%. Now the patient thinks those two products are the same, but actually he would be getting double the dose if using the one with the higher bioavailability. Now, in a world when there's no bioavailability for the product, how can you even know? So we believe that this is the basics, and we have that data for all our products. And it's more than this. We are conducting studies to show the efficacy of our products. We have currently 11 trials which are ongoing in Israel. We are conducting the trials in Israel, and we are aiming to see what are the results of our products in a closed setting, so in a randomized control trial, and we believe that those trials will be available in the next couple of 1 or 2 years. Panaxia has been investing a lot in R&D in the last couple of years. We are focusing usually in two fields. One of them is dosage forms. This is the dosage forms which we have on the market are the result of all this work which has been done since 2010. And so one field which we are focusing on is even further improving our dosage form and bringing more and more sophisticated dosage forms into the market. The other part of the focus in our R&D is of choosing the cannabinoids that are treating the certain conditions. How we are doing that? We're doing that in two ways. One of them is the biological way. The wet biology everybody is doing. We're taking tissue cultures, we're testing different cannabinoids for them, understanding for which model of indications each one will be helpful. But the other one is quite unique. I remind you, we are working in Israel. We are reaching almost 15 patients on a regular basis. In the usual pharma world, we would be unable to know anything about our patients. On the other hand, in the cannabis space, we are actually required to know about all the patients, everything about the patients we are treating directly. So we have a database, a huge database of 15,000 patients, where on one side of the matrix, we know everything about the age, the gender, the indication they are consuming cannabis for, other indications they are suffering from, other medications they are consuming. And on the other part of this matrix, we know up to the cannabinoid level, what is it that they are receiving. Now think about it. We have this huge database, knowledge about the effect of the cannabinoids, and now we are data mining all this database in order to understand which of the cannabinoids is doing what for each patient. We currently have more than 7 IPs protecting our products. In the cannabis space, this is usually quite a challenge. And some people claim this is part of the reason why big pharma are not in the cannabis space, because it's difficult to have patents for the formulations. Here as well, our approach of selecting the different cannabinoids for the treatment of different indication is helping us, not only giving our patients a better service, but also obtaining unique IP. Because usually in cannabis, it's very difficult to have novelty. In the cannabis, uses of cannabis have been described thousands of years ago. The molecules are known. It's almost impossible to obtain novelty. Only by having combinations of cannabinoids for the specific use, we are capable of obtaining strong composition of matter patents. And last, it is the fact which is quite unique in Panaxia, and the fact that we are a pharmaceutical company bringing cannabis in ways where we have been doing for decades. And none of the matters which I have described so far is something that we are doing for the first time. We actually bring all the products in ways that we have been doing in our group for 45 years. We are now approaching Europe, and we are now looking for marketing partners, and you are mostly welcome to visit our booth.